New hero specs coming. So much more than announced. Necromancer and Rifleman. What? These guys talking about hero specs? Let's see what Doran has to say. This might be, I don't know, Doran, are you telling the truth? I don't know. Let's see.
Hero specs are not
Doran, the
really
truth teller.
all that great. It is not exactly a new class, and a lot of them are super generic. But the good news is that there is a ton
I still think Sandland's really cool. I do. I'm gonna be a Blood Death Knight Sandland.
We could expect a bunch more to come. They could already introduced a ton of iconic Warcraft 3 classes like the Mountain King, the Dark
I gotta
Ranger,
reclaim
the
Gilneas before we
Farseer.
raid,
Well,
Leaky.
these set
Jeez.
classes like the Blade Master are a bit too far away for them to work as a hero spec. We could definitely be in for a Headhunter, a Rifleman, a Warden, an Alchemist, a Witch Doctor, a Chieftain, and a few others.
Blade
So
Master.
what exactly are the hero talents? What are the previews that we have seen? And which of the
I was
lore
shocked that Monk
classes
didn't get Blade
could we
Master.
actually expect to play as in the near future? While playing WoW on PC is great, you can also check in on your characters directly from your phone. With this video sponsor, Awesome, you can control your PC with your phone completely free, as it is available for Windows, iOS, and Android. Check out my link in the description, download the PC version and the phone app, and just connect it. The free version itself is amazing, as you can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version. It has custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere with game sound. Make sure to use my code Doran to get 7 days completely free,
Doran,
only
boys.
for the first 200 people. They also got a smart lock to turn off your PC at any time, as well as hot sales with up to 40% off on pro game versions. Check out Awesome. So unfortunately, the hero talents are definitely not quite what we had expected when they were announced on BlizzCon. Like, they're kinda okay, but most of the community had found them underwhelming so far. Originally, they seemed pretty much like class skins and like very big branches of the current classes, but Blizzard actually gave us a full preview of this system on their website.
A lot of these are out now. You can see the spec trees.
All that robust or
I think they all are.
super exciting. It is essentially just a bit more further specialization with a few more talents and, as Blizzard said, a boost to your current class. The hero talents have to fit.
I have to say, a lot of these hero talent things, they're very, like, I feel like a lot of them are passive. Like the Sandlane one, I don't know, there's this ability you got to keep up, and you keep, like, siphoning blood while you're doing it. But other than that, I feel like most of the abilities were just, like, passive, like, oh, you generate more health by doing this. The same thing that you used to do.
Existing
I'm
specs,
sure there'll be iterations on
it. That can enhance some of your abilities and make you a bit
Can you
more
lead a
than
raid with
just
Awesome?
a regular warrior or just
Lead a raid from my phone?
However, don't despair. I don't think this is the end of it, and I think a lot more is going to happen in the future, and this isn't going to be just a few passive abilities. I think that is going to be the case for 2 reasons at the moment why more things could be happening. One is that even back at BlizzCon, they had announced a whole bunch of them, 39 of these hero specs, but they said this is the least developed of all the new expansion systems, and it is the one that is the most open to feedback. The 39 talent list is in a way a placeholder, and they're open to feedback to replace some of them. I mean, they literally said a few of these might be lame, so let us know so we can change some of them and improve on this system. So it is definitely open to feedback.
I don't think they're going to add more than 3 per class, because it fits with that whole triangle system they developed, where like each spec can be one of 2 of the 3. So I don't think they're going to add more, but maybe change some of them.
Because of that, I think
maybe
if
that'll
we make
happen.
our voice heard about it, we could get some of the most iconic classes in the game to actually become playable through this system. The second reason why I think we should be more optimistic is the trading post and all the craziness.
Yeah, Henry, thanks for putting that out.
With the new armors, the transmog, the gear, and just overall customization. Some classes are very iconic in their gear, and for example, we had recently gotten the whole Blade Master transmog.
Yeah, we got the transmog, but we didn't get the class.
100%
Shocked.
look like a Blade Master despite missing some of the key abilities. However, mixing these new transmogs together with the hero specs and customizations could essentially be our way into some of the coolest classes out there in the game, like the Warden or the Shadow Hunter or a Witch Doctor. I gotta be honest, some of the hero specs do sound a little bit lame or super generic, where you can't even guess what it means. I mean, we got a Felscar Demon Hunter, a Totemic Shaman, and Oracle Priest.
I'm guessing a shaman can put like 6 totems instead of 3.
It doesn't really say anything, it just seems quite generic based on the current information. However, a really good thing is that some of the most iconic classes back from Warcraft 3 were literally added through this new hero spec list, and I think we might be in for a few more. more. If you may have noticed, we got the Foss here, which is literally a playable hero class back in Warcraft 3, which I gotta say is actually a little bit different than the regular shaman. Back in the LTS, it was mounted. I doubt that there's going to be a specialization, but this was like a different version of playable troll back in the day.
We were supposed to get mounted combat back in Wrath of the Lich King. It was a box feature. You guys remember that? Instead, I think we just got the jousting, and that was about it.
Got the Sentinels, which were a really unique and interesting Night Elven unit, which is exactly why I think we may be in for Wardens soon as well. We got the Druids of the Claw, which was essentially a Night Elven unit you could actually play as. We got the Dark Ranger, which has been in the game since Warcraft 3, and this is what Sylvanas was, and this also combines perfectly with the recent transmog options we got as well,
cool.
as
you
the
can
lore
go full
changes
dive
and the
into
customization that was
be introduced,
a Dark
Ranger.
And this is exactly what I mean. We got some tiny lore modifications, some Sylvanas type transmog, and now a hero spec, which is not really all that robust, but with these things combined, you pretty much got a playable Dark Ranger, which most of us would have expected in the past to be a whole new class that would be announced for an entire expansion. Furthermore, we got the
I don't know if it was ever going to be a class,
which is
honestly.
named a bit differently, but you may remember the very dwarven themed warrior class Mountain King back from Warcraft 3, which is what Muradin was. So I gotta say, they have already done a great job on 5 original Warcraft 3 classes, and adding them together with
I feel like
transmogs
Warrior
and the lore,
didn't get that good of one.
We got a few more options that could be even more exciting. Before we look into it, I just want to say some of the really interesting classes like the Blade Masters probably won't be happening, unfortunately, and that is not my speculation. They literally addressed this on the original post on the website.
The thing about Blade Master is I feel like it'll change up the way you play completely. Like, it's a completely different, it's a new class really, rather than a new hero spec thing. So that's why I feel like they just didn't add it. It's just too different.
Despite the fact that
most of these are just kind of slight tweaks on your rotation.
Get a few abilities that you can roleplay as a Blade Master, Blizzard said that there is a bit too much of a gap for them to become playable through the hero talent system. Sure, you could be a Blade Master-like warrior, but a Blade Master without Windwalk and the mirror images is not really a Blade Master, so they may be saving this for an entirely new class at some point in the future. So because of
it would have to be probably if they ever added it.
Might not be happening. Same could probably be said for Thinkers. While they could potentially work with some of the current classes as a hero spec, I just think they're a bit too different. Like, it is an entirely different mechanic. Also, Spellbreaker, which, while technically related to mages, is essentially an anti-mage, and that could also be a whole new class in Midnight with the entire revamp of Quota Loss. So at the moment, I think Hunters are the most open to getting a few more options, even though some of these lore classes can be multiple ones. Now, interesting enough, Hunters got the most interesting, in my opinion, of the hero specs, the Sentinel and the Dark Ranger, but I also think they could be open.
Sentinel's probably, like some kind of rogue-like hunter. What was it? The other one was Dark Ranger, more, just using your bow. And Pack Leader is involved with pets. They're all three deeper dives into what the hunters already are.
I also think they could be open to a Headhunter and a Rifleman. Both of these are super iconic, but both of them are also super race specific, with the Headhunters being strictly trolls, Riflemen being strictly dwarves, but keep in mind, we actually used to play these as units back in Warcraft.
So a lot of these are inspired by Warcraft 3. I didn't even realize that.
Like, what are we gonna do if this is just so much like race specific? I gotta say, this shouldn't really be that big of a problem. Check out the Death Knight hero specs they had announced. They literally added a sunline from what I can see to all the Death Knights, not just Blood Elven Death Knights. If they can make that work, I don't see why they can't make any others work as well. Keep in mind, the sunline is literally a name for the vampiric fallen blood elves, and it is literally blood elven language as well, so if they manage to straighten that out, most of the other race specific classes could work as well. Headhunter is essentially just an axe thrower. Now, I don't think a hunter needs to suddenly start throwing just axes and strictly axes, but I think we could get some interesting abilities that focus on throwing. While this is a troll class, there is zero reason why any other race with two limbs
maybe dwarves want to throw axes too.
It's not like only trolls can throw weapons. Same thing can be said for riflemen. Pretty much any race can wield rifles, so why not have a specialization that is focused on just using guns? I think that could turn out to be incredibly interesting. Next on the line, we have two even more interesting classes, and that is the Witch Doctor and a Hexer, which are similar, sort of.
I thought Witch Doctor could be like a Death Knight spec.
But both of these are also very troll-based classes.
Witch Doctor would just be, to me, like a more like a mail or cloth wearing range spec for Death Knights. Or a Necromancer. Actually, I take that back. Witch Doctor wouldn't be. Witch Doctor would be a shaman thing. Necromancer would be the ranged Death Knight class.
Doctor is
If they
incredibly
ever
well
added a
developed
fourth
when it comes to the
spec.
lore, and we even had one back in Warcraft 3 as a unit. I think it really is quite unique when compared to a lot of the other classes. Because of that, I think it could receive the Blade Master treatment where the gap is too large, but I think it could also fit well with some classes. Technically, Witch Doctors are Priests of Sword, but very, very different than the right ones. But realistically, they could fit best at the moment with
Why did Sam just
with some transmogs, a few abilities, I could totally see it happening. Even more importantly, keep in mind, 39 hero specs are announced for the war within, and almost certainly this system will get expanded upon over time, so they may be saving these troll-based specs for Midnight, while trolls will almost certainly get their spotlight through the Amani in Quel'Thalas. While we're on the topic of trolls, we potentially have the most relevant class, and that is a Shadow Hunter. This is a bit of a vague one. It could be anything from a rogue to a hunter to a shaman to a shadow priest, but with the right abilities, I think it can fit well. Most importantly, Vol'jin was a shadow priest. There was a whole book back in the day about him in Pandaria.
I had no idea.
We played with a Shadow Hunter Rokan,
I didn't know that.
As you may remember, we recently had some Loa lore.
What happened with Juan Samdi? What's he up to, man? He was a great character out of BFA. I don't even know what he's up to.
Troll Heritage questlines are coming in 10.2.7. Even more importantly, as I said, in Midnight we're getting Trolls, we're getting the Void, so both of these themes are exactly what
I think we're going to get a lot about Trolls in Midnight because we're getting a lot about the Elves. And if you know anything about the High Elves and Blood Elves, like all that stuff, they are very much intertwined with Troll lore because they went at it with the Amani Trolls. I wonder if we're going to get a playable Amani Trolls. That's going to be cool.
There is. Because of this, I think this might even be a whole new class, not just a simple hero spec. However, when it comes to strictly hero talents, we got a few smaller ones that could definitely fit. This time, looking at the rogues, we got two really interesting options, and those are the Wardens and the Alchemists. Wardens, I gotta admit,
that's because the elves are trolls. So, well, yeah, there's that too, but they also had like hundreds of years of battles with each other.
This is pretty much an assassin-based rogue that pretty much has all the rogue abilities. The only specific one is Blink, but that is not really that iconic for Wardens, like mirror images for Blade Masters, for example. The main difference is the weapon they use, but I could 100% see a Warden coming for the rogues.
Cosmetic thing.
It could be the most exciting one. Furthermore, the Alchemist was sort of a thing back in Warcraft 3, but I think this could be an
I do think if they added Wardens, sorry, I said Wardens. Wardens, I do think it'd be really cool if they had a CC ability where they trap you in one of these crystals. You know, the ones that they had all the demon hunters trapped in. It'd be pretty cool if they had like a giant green crystal CC.
It was sort of a thing back
I'd be
in
down for that.
3,
What up, Helena?
This could be an interesting one as well, focusing on poisons and poison-based abilities, which could fit perfectly well as a hero spec.
Yeah, I agree.
While we're on the
That's
topic
pretty
of Warcraft 3 classes, I think a Tauren Chieftain would be incredibly interesting, seeing
Tauren
that they also added the Mountain King, although that might not be too iconic as we already have those abilities in the game. Next down the line, we of course always have the Necromancer. Which could 100% work with the Death Knight, seeing that we got the Sunline.
Yeah, it's gotta be a Death Knight
Necromancers are spellcasters and are a cloth-wearing class. Personally, I would want to see
I think this has to be a spec. This can't be our hero class. It would completely change how everything's
them
played.
as a standalone, like a whole new class that could definitely come in the Last Titan, as we are going to
it'd be a Death Knight spec or a class.
With all these Loon Dogs and these Loon things happening, I could also see a Night Warrior coming as well. Now, despite the fact that it is called a Night Warrior, this isn't really a warrior, it is a priest thing, but it's really a mix. It is sort of like a
melee
Night Elven
priest
version of a paladin. I know what you may be thinking. I mean, this is a Night Elven thing, but keep in mind the whole of Azeroth is interconnected at this point in time. There is no reason why any other race can't worship a Loon and harness their dark powers to defend Azeroth.
Kinda true. That'd be cool as a Night Elf paladin.
Overall, though, despite the underwhelming features and the preview of the hero specs, I think this is still a baby project, and I think we may be in for some really exciting things coming with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for watching. Check out how Zelda Time Travel to Classic to bring a tune back to retail by clicking on the screen. And check out my video on HMV colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, I'm excited for a lot of this stuff. I think that there's a lot to be maybe to be desired so far from hero specs, but I think they're going to iterate on it a lot. It's probably going to be their main focus in alpha and beta testing because it's going to change things for how you play the game. But I think hero specs were a cool thing for them to add, and they're going to iterate on them. I think they will be a very cool addition to the game.